Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I got another crazy current event story for you guys, and this one is just, oh man, I don't know how to even start this one out. So this one, I found out about this one from one of my viewers, Silver Fox Line, who posted about this. I want to thank him for bringing this to my attention, but basically what is happening is the city of Chicago wants to ban all violent video games because of a rise in carjackings. Not joking on this. This is real. Politicians in Chicago want to ban the sale of all violent video games because of a rise in carjacking. So let's read this article. This is from GameSpot, and we're also going to play a news media clip, and I'm going to tell you guys what I think about this because this is just so stupid. So it says here, a lawmaker in Chicago has put forth a new bill that seeks to ban the sale or rental of violent video games completely. This bill, HB 3531, seeks to amend the violent video games law in the state of Illinois Criminal Code of 2012 to make it much more extreme. The code currently states that violent video games cannot be sold or rented to minors, but the new bill seeks to ban the sale of video games to everyone. Additionally, the bill seeks to change the definition of violent video game to the following: a video game that allows a user or player to control a character within the video game that is encouraged to perpetrate human-on-human violence in which the player kills or otherwise causes serious physical or psychological harm to another human or an animal. So that is pretty much going to, by that definition, they could outlaw pretty much every single violent game out there. I could even see them outlawing the old Jak and Daxter games simply for punching monsters that are chasing you. So there's just so many things that could possibly fall under that category. But my question is what are they, if this law even passes, because I doubt that this law is going to pass, but even if this law passes, my question is, what are they going to do to all the stores that have inventory in it also already? Like, have tons of violent video games. What are they going to do to that? What are they going to do to those stores? Because I know a lot of people are wondering about this, because I know some of my viewers, you guys live in Chicago. A lot of people are probably wondering, well, what if I own violent video games? No, nobody's going to come to your house and take your violent video games. And according to this law, at least from what I've read, it's not illegal to possess violent video games, but it is illegal if this law passes to sell violent video games. So if you have the violent video games, you're allowed to keep them. But as for stores that have tons of them in stock, I mean, imagine what would happen. Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop, what are they going to do with that stuff? They might just ship the inventory out of state to other states, or they might just dump it. I mean, how stupid would a GameStop look? Like, imagine if you walk into a GameStop and every single game in there is rated E. Imagine how stupid that would look. And also, on top of that, there's like PlayStation bundles, like, consoles, like, PS4 bundles, Xbox One bundles, even the PS5, which, is difficult to find. But there's bundles that come with, like, violent video games. So what are they going to do with that? Are they just going to toss all of that? Is it all just going to be gone? And let's look at this. This is a clip from Fox 32 right now. We'll just play this in the video because this is just stupid. And they're using also gameplay from Grand Theft Auto for this justification.
In just the last few days, 3 teens have been arrested for carjackings in Chicago. People have been saying for months now that teens are running around the city and carjacking people like it's a video game.
But now local lawmakers are doubling down on that idea, saying that video game should be banned.
Tia Ewing has more.
The carjacking suspects aren't even old enough to drive.
To survive, they have to set up and pull off a series of increasingly audacious heists.
Philanthropist Early Walker says violent video games like Grand Theft Auto could be influencing their young minds.
There are instances in the game where an individual pulls up to a car, bumps the car, taps the car, gets out, pulls the individual out of the car, carjacks the car, pulls off.
Walker met with Illinois State Representative Marcus Evans in January, and from there, legislation was drafted to amend a 2012 law preventing some games, including Grand Theft Auto, from being sold to children in Illinois.
House Bill 3531, which will ban these video games and send a message.
Different versions of Grand Theft Auto have been banned or censored in 5 different countries, but never in the United States. This past Friday, a former police officer was carjacked in his own driveway in the south suburbs. The car was later found in Harvey with the young suspect still in it.
They don't care
they feel they're going to get right back out, especially juveniles.
An expert told us the game can be the cause of violence, but it isn't the only factor.
Should it be banned? I think so. However, there's probably lots of reasons for theft and lots of reasons for violence.
Tia Ewing, Fox 32 News.
Now, we did reach out to the makers of Grand Theft Auto. Rockstar Games never responded to our request for this story.
So you guys saw that, and what I actually like about that video is how they are literally putting in the heist scenes. So they're putting in the heist scenes thinking that kids are going to start pulling off crazy, insane heists where they're going to knock over armored trucks or just, like, break into jewelry stores. This idea of kids just doing this stuff is just ridiculous. It's just absolute nonsense. This is a video game. And I'll say this. In college, in my final year of college for my senior project, I wrote over a 20-page paper. And that 20-page paper that I wrote about, I was writing about violent video games and violence in the real world. And do you know what I can tell you about this? There is no evidence whatsoever that violence in video games encourages violence in the real world. None whatsoever. Now, the majority of studies will tell you that there is no correlation. There are some studies that will tell you that there's a correlation, but these studies are extremely biased. And the thing about that is, guess which one is more likely to be reported on in the media? The media is much more likely to report on studies that claim that violent video games cause violence than studies that claim that violent video games do not cause violence. And additionally, no rational person is going to sit down, play Grand Theft Auto, steal a car, and want to do that in real life. I have played Grand Theft Auto since 2002, since Vice City. So I've played Grand Theft Auto, how long have I? I've played Grand Theft Auto since I was 8 years old. And at never at one point in my life, did I ever want to hurt anybody. Never at one point in my life did I ever want to steal a car. Never. And I'll also say this about the media. Because what the media does is they pick and choose stories, and the reason that they talk so much about violent video games is because they know that this brings up headlines. When parents, read the media, when they watch the media, and they see, oh, my kids are playing violent video games, this could change them, then parents become immediately interested in that, and the media, they get more views because the media is a business. The media gets money. And as for the politicians in Chicago, this is just a scapegoat for them. They are having difficulty trying to solve the carjacking issue. Instead, they should be trying to look at the root cause of this issue, see where this is going on, how we can prevent this from happening. Instead, they just scapegoat it and just say, oh, look, it's violent video games. It has to be because of this. Now, they were saying that this was teenagers that were committing these carjackings. And in this article, it says 218 carjackings in January were in Chicago. I highly doubt that the majority of those were just simply kids. Plenty of adults had participated in those carjackings. Now, as for these kids that they showed in the video, we don't know that it was Grand Theft Auto. They never claimed any evidence whatsoever that Grand Theft Auto led those kids to actually stealing the car. And the media, what they do is they pick and choose stories. What they'll do is they'll get that occasional person that commits a crime, steals a car or something like that, and then when they get arrested, that person will say, "Oh, it was because I played Grand Theft Auto. That is the reason." And then the media will say, "Oh, look right here. This is proof that violent video games cause violence." You know what I'll say about that? Going back to my rational person statement before, if somebody sits down and plays Grand Theft Auto and then wants to go and steal cars in the real world, that person had severe issues before they played the game. Because like I said, no rational person is going to sit down, play Grand Theft Auto, and then want to commit crimes. Those people had issues before they even got on the game. And the root cause of this, if kids do dumb things like this should fall on the parents. It's the parents' responsibility. Raise your kids right. Then your kids won't be doing horrible and stupid things like this. But let's read through more of the article here. The bill also wants to change the definition of serious physical harm to include psychological harm and child abuse, sexual abuse, animal abuse, domestic violence against women, or motor vehicle theft of a driver or passenger inside the vehicle when the theft begins. The bill was introduced this week into the 102nd General Assembly by Illinois State Representative Marcus C. Evans, a Democrat who represents part of Chicago and its surrounding suburbs. HB 3531 has been referred to the Illinois General Assembly Rules Committee, which is made up of 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans. A hearing date has not been set for HB 3531, according to Illinois General Assembly website. Evans told the Chicago Sun-Times that he is introducing the bill in response to the rise in carjackings. The bill would prohibit the sale of some of these games that promote the activities we're suffering from in our communities, he said. And guess what? If this bill passes, I guarantee you guys, this is not going to reduce the amount of carjackings in Chicago. Carjackings could still possibly be on the rise. And another thing I'll say, if this bill is passed, it's going to actually increase crime. How is it going to increase crime? Because what's going to happen is people like playing violent video games. Violent video games are some of the most popular games out there. If violent video games are banned entirely in Chicago, what this is going to do is this is going to create a whole black market for violent video games. What people are going to do is they're going to buy violent video games in large numbers in other states, then they're going to bring them into Chicago, and then they're going to want to sell them for an extra amount of money because people can't get them in Chicago, so they are going to they're going to buy them from these people. Amazon probably won't ship anymore to Chicago either, so websites won't ship to it either if this passes. So people, if they want to get violent video games, they're either going to have to buy from these sellers in their state that's illegal, or they're going to be traveling to other states. They're going to have to drive to other states. Imagine how frustrating that would be, that you want to buy a new game comes out. Imagine wanting to buy the new Call of Duty. The new Call of Duty comes out, and you got to drive all the way to Indiana, which is the neighboring state, in order to try to get that game. How stupid would that be? And this is to note, this bill does not restrict violent video games just for minors. It restricts it for adults. So at the same time is the city government of Chicago thinks that even adults are just too stupid to understand the difference between reality and a video game. But that's just how ridiculous their whole argument is. And let's finish this off. A campaign called Operation Safe Pump, spearheaded by philanthropist Early Walker, was formed in an attempt to prevent carjackings by sending in security personnel to places where they might occur. Walker said he reached out to lawmakers in Chicago after noticing similarities between carjackings in video games and what's happening in the real world. When you compare the two, you see harsh similarities as it relates to these carjackings, Walker told the Times. Now, sending security to places where they might occur, that seems like a good idea. But blaming video games for the carjackings, when somebody steals a car, they're not doing it because they're not doing it because of a video game. So these politicians are so dumb. When somebody steals a car, oftentimes they're stealing the car because they want to sell it somewhere illegally. They want to steal the parts in the car. It's for personal profit, or they want to steal something in the car. Like when there's for instance, what a lot of people do, and this is a big mistake, and this is what I'll tell everybody. This is really important because I learned a lot of this stuff in criminal justice when I took it in college. Whatever you do, wherever you park your car, it doesn't matter. It does not matter where you park your car. Whenever you park your car, do not leave something expensive in view, that if somebody's walking by the car, that they'll be able to look inside and see something expensive. An example of this, somebody leaves an expensive smartphone on the seat in the car, or somebody leaves a laptop on the seat of the car. Do not do this, because when you do this, what happens is anybody that walks by the car can see, oh, there's a laptop in the car. They'll smash the window and just take the laptop. This is different than a carjacking, but my point is that people leave expensive stuff all the time on seats. So it becomes a crime of opportunity for a lot of these people. Don't do that. But when people commit these crimes, it's for personal profit. They're not doing it because it's a video game. These people should be stopped. But this is not how you're going to stop these people. You're not going to stop these people by banning video games. This is violent video games. This is simply a scapegoat for politicians that don't want to take responsibility and don't want to actually make their neighborhoods better. They don't want to make the neighborhoods safer. They don't want to actually look at the root cause of this problem. Stop this. Stop these carjackings from happening. Instead, nope. Let's try to scapegoat this. Let's blame violent video games because we have no other solutions at the moment. But I guess that's that for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like. And if you're new to my channel, you might subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.